Over the last couple decades, there's been a plethora of Spider-Man games. Some amazing, and some pretty shit. But today we're going to talk about Insomniac's Golden Boy, Spider-Man PS4. Now, a lot of fans out there say that this is the best Spider-Man experience. I can't completely disagree, but I feel there is a lot of ways this game can improve in its sequel. Today we're going to talk about 7 things that Spider-Man 2 can improve upon. This game's story has a lot of side characters, some utilized well, and others not so much. My main problem is with Spidey's friends in this story, mainly Mary Jane. Mary Jane is set up as a reporter in this incarnation, which I like, and it's a nice change, but she kind of just steals Peter's job. All of her missions are her walking around stealthily and tasing henchmen in the asshole. The rest of the time she's either reading or solving puzzles, and I mean, Spider-Man can't just do this. I mean, he does it already in the game. I mean, if you're gonna have Mary Jane in the game, just have her do something that's not under Peter's shadow. Right now, the way she's set up, the shit she does is the shit Spider-Man can do. If you're gonna have her do this sneaky stuff, at least have her do it in a place Spider-Man can't get into, like the women's restroom. And then there's Miles Morales. Look, I like the guy. I like the character. He has been kind of forced lately, though. I mean, why is he even in this story? He's just sequel bait. I mean, the post-credit scene kind of confirms that. You know, all he does is play with some gadgets, sneak around, just like Peter and Mary Jane do. And, what else happened? Oh, his fucking dad died? What? I mean, his dad's kind of pointless, too. Yeah, he sets up Miles, but, what else does he do? Oh, he gives Spider-Man a taser. Oh, Spider-Man learns how to make electric webs. I mean, really? Spider-Man doesn't need a cop's hand to figure out how to make a gadget. I mean, Spider-Man could have figured that out on his own eventually. He probably already did it before. He just needed to redo it that time because he didn't have it in that circumstance. All of the other side characters that at least start out on Peter's good side are pretty fleshed out, and I don't really have anything to complain about with them. But let's not forget about the villains in the game. Let's start with Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is just kind of around when the plot needs him to be. Sure, he's kind of an asshole, but at least give him something to do. I mean, he's just there to set up the sequel as well. And after my initial playthrough, I really thought the Sinister Six was kind of lacking. I mean, it's cool that they're in there, but they don't really have any character development. They just kind of pop up in the last quarter of the game. Next time around, when they add villains halfway or towards the end of the game, they should at least build them up first, instead of just throwing them in there. Really, all we get out of the Sinister Six in this game, prior to their appearance, is little hints we get out of the fucking backpack memorabilia. Aside from that, we just get this. Boss fights are something superhero games constantly struggle or completely fumble with. Looking at you, Arkham Knight. Typically they consist of dodging big charged attacks, getting a few punches in, and running away just to repeat the process over and over. Or they're just beefed up versions of regular enemy types in the game. 2 games the sequel can take inspiration from are God of War 3 and Arkham Origins. Each boss in those games were both beautifully cinematic and unique every time. The levels always evolve in stages to keep them from getting stale. Boss fights are supposed to be the most epic and memorable parts of the game, but I found them to be pretty lackluster in this one. This moment should be much more memorable than this shit. I gotta be honest here. I thought a lot of the side missions in this game were pretty entertaining, especially the research missions. They always had a unique gimmick and always left me wanting to do another one after I completed it. But the random crime missions wore on me pretty quick. I got tired of the same goons breaking into the same storefronts 50 times or chasing down a car every 5 minutes just to see the same 3 animations. As well as taking down some of the little stable outposts in the streets. Don't get me wrong, I love random crime features, but it's not so random when you see the same idiots
cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the bitches, slapping the hoes.
When they use the same tactics every time. How about they adapt to Spider-Man's moveset throughout the game and start carrying different weapons or something? Also, I think the civilians should ask you more tasks to do, like in Spider-Man 2 or the infamous game. This is their city after all, and they should have more input on what goes on to make it safer. Another annoying side mission is the towers and backpacks. These literally serve no challenge. Almost immediately you can find each and every tower and skip the little stupid cryptographic sequencer challenge. Then when you've unlocked the towers, it shows all the backpacks in the near area. Just do away with this concept altogether and have the backpacks be collectible by finding them the same way you do kidnap victims. Have you go search an area and detect the sound around it. It adds a small but impactful challenge that completionists like myself would appreciate. This one might be kind of a stretch, but I wanted to see it before the first game even came out. Having the ability to complete adventures or side missions with other Spider-Men will be a dream come true. It only makes sense that now that Miles will have superpowers in the sequel, that there should be a drop-in, drop-out co-op mode. The Spider-Verse angle could open up room for tons of unique level design and even more combat variation, such as when you team up with a sidekick in Arkham Knight.
What took you so long? Oh! Oh!
I'd be dishonest if I didn't say the combat in this game was astounding, and even stacks up to Arkham Knight's gameplay. But I don't feel that it's as fresh or as intuitive as people think it is. Especially when you only have 5 to 8 moves in your whole moveset, and the variations get short after a while. The gadgets might keep it fresh throughout the game, but most of them are just instant takedowns. Plus, they're not implemented as well as Arkham Knight's. In Arkham Knight, you can throw gadgets in between moves seamlessly. In Spider-Man, you either hit the instant button and it shoots wherever it wants to, or you have to stop and shoot manually. This isn't very intuitive, and it's not fast-paced, and I think it could definitely be improved. It's more than likely that we'll get our hands on the symbiote in the next game. Insomniac needs to look back on games such as Web of Shadows for combat inspiration. Spider-Man had so many attack variations between both the red and black suits. I didn't even have a chance to explore them all in my first playthrough. Each suit's unlockable moveset provided endless and fluid combat variation, which kept the game alive throughout the whole experience. You had several web or tendril attacks that brutally took down multiple enemies at the same time. Spider-Man is one of the strongest heroes in the Marvel Universe, and he shouldn't be getting bitched around by common street thugs. Aerial combat needs to be beefed up quite a bit as well. You got your web zip and your web pull, and that's about it. In Web of Shadows, you zip up enemy to enemy and perform endless attacks in midair, which feels super satisfying and really takes advantage of New York's geometry. I don't have much to say about enemy types except maybe give them less fucking guns. This Spider-Man is not Rainbow fucking Six. I shouldn't have to constantly be avoiding gunfire every 3 punches. Let's get into this, shall we? So, animations. These are a problem I caught at least halfway through the game. Despite the web swinging and combat being thoroughly entertaining, I found myself watching the same swings, kicks, punches, and takedowns over and over and over. Playing the Arkham games, it took me several months to get through every punch and kick animation in the game, and it kept the combat fresh every time. This one is pretty high up there, and I hope Insomniac adds a lot of moves to the next installment. By the way, I'm sorry for bringing up Arkham Knight in every spot. I'm just a sad man. Holy shit, it's the last one, thank God. Yeah, I don't think I need to say it, but I'm going to anyway. Most of the suits are pretty shit. This should be a community-based decision as to which suits are in the game. I mean, who wants to swing around in jeans and fucking t-shirts? And why are all the movie suits only limited to the MCU ones? We got 5 other movies out there. Come on now. And I'm pretty sure 70% of the community, including myself, asked for the Raimi suit. I mean, if the Amazing Spider-Man game could have it, I don't see why this game couldn't. It's possible it'll be in the upcoming DLC, but that's not confirmed yet. Moving on to the suit powers. Along with the suits, half of their powers are pretty shit as well. A lot of them just make your punches or your gadgets more powerful and serve the same purpose. They need to be slimmed down and have their own unique traits in the future. They also shouldn't be associated with the suits themselves. They should just be their own separate entity and be upgradable through a tree, just like Kratos' special moves in the recent God of War game. Well, that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. And if you liked it, please come back because I need to pay rent. Please watch my videos. Please keep coming. Please keep coming back. Please.